Um, 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 um. What's good, gang? Today we got another update for the Orchid, and it is version 3.60. The update's quite big, but I want to focus on the things that matter, and only a few of the things that aren't as important to me, but might be important to some of you. By the way, if you enjoyed this video or you found the information useful, feel free to hit that subscribe button, join the crew, it's up to you. All the links are below if you want to join the Discord. Let's get to the video. So there were quite a few updates and a lot of bug fixes. And it turns out that some of the bug fixes were Mac specific. So if you're a Windows user, you probably didn't even have these issues in the first place. If you want to see some of those issues, I'll leave a link to my video that I did, which is somewhere up there right now. So let's start off with new features. New features, they have 10 new sounds. They sound great, they sound awesome. I'll do a demo at the end of the video so you can hear all the sounds that they've added. There are now a total of 60 sounds. They've also added a very nice feature in the UI where you can see the list of all the sounds, what they're called, and you can select them that way now. It's a pretty useful UI update which just makes it easier to select sounds instead of just seeing numbers on the screen. Another new feature is the ability to save presets, but now you can actually have like user banks where you save the sound however you've designed it, and the effects and everything will be saved to a specific bank. There are 30 of these banks, and my only wonder is, will that be changed once they add new sounds? So for example, I don't know how much space they have on this thing, but let's say they add another 10 sounds. Does that mean that we have only 20 user presets, or will it not affect it at all? I don't know why they decided on 30. Maybe that's the max capacity it can handle without slowing down the unit, but I'm not mad at it. It means that I can always go back to the sounds I designed. They've also added a filter for sounds, which means you can just do a cutoff. I don't know. I don't know how useful that would be for someone like me when I can just do it later, but it's there. And it helps you do a little bit, the bare minimum of sound design. What I would like to see is maybe the tools to be able to either add your own sounds externally or internally have more options of tweaking sounds. Just, a bit more verbose options to tweak the sounds, so that we can make the sounds that you are putting on there, or put our own sounds on it. I don't know. We need to come to some sort of middle ground there. So alongside the basic filter, we have drum effects. The drum effects come hand in hand with the new drum sounds they have on there. So they have like, I don't know, a couple drum sounds. I'll show you on the screen now. They have a couple drum sounds and they're good. They work. I don't think I'll use them, but it's great for standalone. Say if you're just doing a beat performance or whatever, and you just want a drum pattern to go in, and you're only using your Orchid because it's the easiest thing to carry around. Yeah, it's great. You can play I think there's a bossa nova, there's a trap style sound, there's a bunch of different genre drum beats. They've also got the metronome standard sound and multiple time signatures for live performances. We'll get into more of that in a moment. But yes, they also have effects for those drums, so you can change the saturation, the reverb, and so on. It's a nice to have. If I was doing something in a live performance, I would probably have it connected to my Ableton Move, but for people that just have the Orchid, this is a nice addition. So I want to get into some additional features that are more performance and workflow, but in order to do that, I need to first talk about the quality of life fixes and how they've affected using the Orchid. So before, as you can see in my old video, setting up USB-C MIDI on Ableton using a Mac was very difficult, but they've thankfully fixed that. And although it's not perfect, it works. So before, I would have to do this whole routine of turning off and on and then plugging in and not touching the keyboard. They've fixed all of that. So now you just plug it in, select the USB MIDI option, and it should work. I stress the should because I did have some issues getting it to work, but all I had to do to fix it was just plug it out, plug it back in, and then it worked. So if you have any issues, you don't have to turn on and off the unit anymore. You just have to plug it out and then plug it back in, and it should be working fine. At least for me, it worked fine. Additionally, which is something that I was very annoyed about, and the reason why I really didn't use Orchid with my laptop, is the sticky key. So you would press a chord extension, and you don't always want to just hold down the chord extension. Sometimes when you're changing the chord, you want to come in and out of an extension because it sounds cooler, it sounds more natural. And the way it worked on Ableton in Mac was it didn't work really at all. It used to stick the keys. So if you let go of the keys, it would still hold the extension note, and those extension notes would bleed into other chords that you were trying to go into. So they fixed that, and now you don't have that problem anymore. And now you can play extension notes like so now they play nice and they don't stick anymore, and it's awesome. I have no qualms. I'll be using it all the time now. I don't know if this is new or I just missed it beforehand, but now you can set the bass to play in key by itself. So you can set it to be in unison, to play as a chord, or to play as single notes in key. So you can now also use that as, I don't know, a top line or whatever you want to do. So it's awesome. I have no qualms with that. I'll take that. That is great. And you access that by just holding down on the bass knob and then selecting whatever type of bass playing style you would like. You can also turn up and down the metronome or drum beat volume by just holding down. I think it is, I don't know, I'll show you on screen now, but you can just hold down the knob and then turn it up and down. A lot of options are available for you that you probably won't know just by holding down these knobs that they have. So some of them are a quick press and some of them are a hold down for a bit longer, and then new menus will come up. It's kind of chaotic, but it's there. It also has the ability to quantize in the options now, so you can go into the menu and quantize whatever you are looping. Again, yeah, if I'm using MIDI, I'm quantizing wherever the MIDI lives, and if I am using it standalone, I don't know. The loop function is still kind of weird to me, so I don't know if I'd ever use it, but it's there, and for people that need it, it's there, which is cool. Let's talk about performance and workflow. This one's really interesting because they have added a MIDI clock out to whatever DAW or hardware you're using. In my opinion, they should have added a MIDI clock in option, and I'll explain why. When you usually do this with a controller or whatever piece of hardware you are sending clock information to your DAW, you would normally expect to have transport controls, and you do have transport controls on the Orchid. When you do use the transport controls, it doesn't really work. So you have to use a loop knob to stop, start, and play. But it's so finicky that the stop, start, and play just doesn't really work in a way that makes any sense. It's kind of finicky in the way that you just press down on the loop and it starts playing. So I didn't even get the option. I'll go to the free option, I'll hit play. But let's say I want to stop it now, or I press record, none of those options are really working. It just kind of restarts it. It's weird. So you press down to stop, you press down to play, but you can't hit record, and it just is, you can't start the track, you can't go all the way back to the start. So it's kind of just, what's the point? I would prefer just using my Move or a controller that has clear transport controls that aren't gonna confuse me mid-session. I hope that kind of clears up what I'm trying to say. It does, however, allow you to sync the Orchid's BPM to whatever you're going out to, but I don't see the point in that, honestly. If I'm using the Orchid, it is used as a MIDI keyboard first and foremost, not a controller. So if I'm using it with the Ableton Move or whatever you want to do, the push or whatever, you're gonna want to set all of those things on the push or the Move or Ableton Live. You're gonna want to set your BPM and then have all of those options sync into your MIDI keyboard, so that if you're using arpeggios or strums or harps, it is in time at all times, no matter if you decide to change whatever you change in the project on whatever you're connected to. So I don't understand not having a MIDI in, but it's there for anyone that needs it. I hope that makes sense to you. It makes sense in my head. I don't know. Some USB handshake quirks with this whole MIDI clock situation is you can set the BPM so that it matches the metronome. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but if you change the time signature in Orchid, it doesn't change the time signature in Ableton. It doesn't work. So just take note of that. Also, yeah, just to add to that, they added a new time signature to the Orchid. So Telepathic Instruments has fixed a lot of bugs, so shout out to them. Also, there are some improvements I would like to see. Deeper variations for sound editing would be nice, but I'm not gonna complain because first and foremost, it is a chord generator, so it's doing its job. That at the very core of things, the Orchid is now doing its job, which is great. So my final verdict is this is a strong incremental update and it's going in a really exciting direction. I can't wait to see what the future holds for these updates. I hope they keep updating. I hope they don't just stop and disappear like some other companies. For the ones of you that have an Orchid, let me know if this update has been everything you've hoped for. And for the people that were on the fence about getting one, let me know if this kind of helped you make a clearer decision. This has been Piccolo Black. That was the Orchid. I'll catch you in the next one.